I am Saboor Akram, and I am a 20-year-old question mark. Not a filmmaker, not a photographer, just a big question mark, just like everyone else. I don't know who I am, I don't know what I want to do, but this question mark defines me in a very, very specific manner. I am curious. My journey started 9 years ago in grade 7 when a teacher came to me and asked me, Saboor, what's your dream? What do you want to be? This question was asked in a class, and my class had 30 students, and I was like around the age of 12. When the teacher asked me, that 12-year-old kid answered, I want to be me who's going to be there in the coming 10 years. I want to be the Saboor who's going to be there on the stage in the next 10 years. And at that moment, I didn't know what that was, but I just knew that I had to be myself in the next 10 years. And today, it marks those next 10 years. Now, if someone asks me today who I want to be, my answer is going to be the same. Sabu in the next 10 years. Why? Because this journey, this whole idea, this whole trajectory I'm going on is me. In every film, there is a protagonist and an antagonist, right? Every film. In your own film, you're the main character, but do you recognize that you're your own protagonist as well? There's a very deep rooted part of you inside which is against you, but then there's a deep rooted part of you inside which is the main character. 9 years ago, I was at an event in my school, a debating event, and I was just outside, sitting outside a class. And then there's the big question mark came because I saw 10 students running around with cameras and phones trying to take pictures. I had no history with the camera. I didn't know how a camera works. I don't know how anything works about a camera. But a big question mark came in me that why are those students using that camera? Every single thing, every single voice in my head just ends with a big question mark. With that thought, why is everything happening in a certain way? I started learning photography. I started learning filmmaking in my O levels and in my A levels. With that photography, a kid who just learned how to use a camera started borrowing camera from a cousin, and he started to take pictures. He started to go to events. He started to collaborate in different universities and institutes and competitions. He won awards. He did everything till the time came in A levels. And my counselor asked me that, Saboor, has it ever occurred to you that you can also pursue filmmaking? And literally that statement came right in front of me as I was just about to exit the door. Now, in the society where we are in, being an engineer and being a doctor is a top tier form of success. But if you're anything related to arts, that's a very skeptical field. I went home, I sat down in front of my parents, and I was like, my counselor asked me that if I want to pursue filmmaking as a career, can I do that? My parents, alhamdulillah, being very supportive, they gave me a deadline. They said, you have 2 years in your A levels. You want to do whatever you want to do, prove it. I spent 2 years studying, but then also working on my career. I started doing wedding photography. I started doing fashion photography. I never had a camera till my A levels. I used to borrow that camera from cousins and from friends and just try to create things which I wanted to do. Again, I was just living my life like it's like obviously a Christopher Nolan film. There's a big conflict that comes in my A levels that I have my exams, but then my favorite university application for filmmaking ends on that same date. So what do I do? Do I prepare for my exams or do I do filmmaking and create a short film for that exam? These are conflicts. And a lot of changes in my life came at the right moment where I was about to give up. After my A levels, I succeeded in everything. I gave my exams and everything. But due to some situations, my life went from top to down. Like there was a big downfall in my life in terms of you can consider personal reasons or any struggle that I had to. But in filmmaking terms, I was at my conflict. Now, the conflict comes after the second act in a film. I had to do something. No one is going to come and save me. There is no actual Spider-Man in this life. There is no actual Superman in this life. And no one will be there for you except yourself. I was at that conflict. And at the brink of me giving up, I started making short films. Short films which just actually showed how I felt at that moment. After I started making short films, that thing grew. I showed through my short films that I am feeling anxious, I am panicking, I am overthinking, all those negative emotions that people try to hide. I started presenting them that this is how I feel, this is me, this is human. And for me, I have been on Instagram for the past 9 years, and the moment I started expressing myself in the most purest form, people started to come in. People started to recognize, people started to learn that this guy also feels the same way as I do. This guy is also anxious about his life as I am. This guy isn't faking his laugh standing with this very materialistic kind of an object. He is struggling through life just like we are. But he is trying to present that struggle, he's trying to present that feeling, that dark side of his life through filmmaking, through art. That's a perspective a lot of people weren't really used to. Because initially, a lot of people used to come and ask me that, how are you so comfortable telling people that this is your weakness? Everyone has a weakness, right? Everyone panics. Everyone has anxiety. I had anxiety before coming to the talk. Everyone has anxiety. But how you address it, how you own yourself, is something that matters. When I made that short film, I made one, I made two, I made three, I made 17 short films, and on the 18th one, I was about to get so demotivated that now I'm not going to make any other short film. But the 18th film I made, the next morning, every Pakistani magazine started writing about that short film. That this 19-year-old kid is making short films on these topics. He's trying to bake these stereotypical topics. So when I was about to give up again, I realized that I shouldn't. And again, a big landmark, a big climax in my life came that when the magazine started to write it, the same week, Spider-Man came in. Does everyone know about Spider-Man? I need a louder yes. Does anyone know about Spider-Man? Yes. So I have been a big fan of Spider-Man since my birth. But everything about Spider-Man has always been really close to me. And when I watched that movie around 8 times in the theater, and every time I went there, I took my journal with me. And even the cinema guy was like so used to it. He was like, "Why are you coming here for the 8th time?" I was like, "I am trying to break down that film in 8 different ways." I went there for the first time. I watched the movie. I went there for the first time and I watched the movie and I enjoyed it. I went there for the second time and I started recognizing the story. I went there for the third time. I started breaking down those characters. I used to be the only one in the whole cinema with this actual journal and a pen in my hand because I was trying to break down that movie. Why that movie is so emotional to me? Why am I connecting so much to that movie? Again, are you guys picking up on the whys? I felt connected to that movie, but why? Why was I being connected to that film? The 8th time I watched that film, I came back home and I was like, now I want to make something. I was 19-year-old. Our whole industry has a lot of people from different age spectrum. But I was really young. I didn't have the privileges. I didn't have the funds. I didn't have a very media-related background. No one in my family is related to media or arts or film or drama or theater. Anyone, no one is related to that. But I just had a dream again. I came home, I was stubborn that now I don't care how young I am, I want to create something which might, to a certain level, be as emotionally, as visually prominent to the other viewer as well. So I planned a 3-minute short film for Spider-Man. That 3-minute Spider-Man film took 5 months to make. I went from person to person, team to team, and my aim grew. My dream grew because from a 3-minute Spider-Man fan fiction film, my dream became that I want Pakistan to be on the international level. And after 5 months, that 3-minute short film that had to be just screened on Instagram became Pakistan's first fan fiction about Spider-Man, and it was screened across cinemas. And I never imagined that there is something that can go to such limits where San Diego Comic Con recognized that movie as an actual official Spider-Man fan fiction, which became a big landmark. After that, a lot of things inside me changed. When I was watching that film, obviously it took me 5 months to create that film, but when I was standing there and watching that film, not a single part of my being was proud of myself. It wasn't. I watched that film and I couldn't help myself but gather so many mistakes, my flaws, things I could have done better, things I could have made better. This is something that you guys also go through. You guys post something, and after 5 minutes, you guys hate it. Does everyone feel that way? You make something, you feel happy, you feel very passionate about that, but when as soon as you put it up on your social media, you realize, nah, this isn't as good as. And a lot of people get undermined by that. But can you just can you just shift the perspective to just realize that you just grew in those next 5 minutes? Your whole mentality, your whole perspective, your whole persona just grew. You're picking up on your own mistakes. You're picking up on your own flaws. And then you realize that this is so many things. You can do that same thing in such a better way. उससे, like, according to myself, उससे प्यारी चीज़ है ही नहीं कि आपने अपनी गलतियां निकाल ली. आपने अपनी गलतियां निकाली, मानी, सीखा, आगे गए. 3 months back, I established myself as a fashion photographer and a filmmaker. I went to Turkey. I met a lot of artists throughout the world. I came across the concept of AI. It's a very controversial topic. You type AI and art on Google Chrome, the first icon you're going to see is AI versus art. Is everyone aware of that controversy? AI overtaking art. AI versus art. AI versus human expression. And I started to think about it. Is it true? I don't think so. No one is coming to like attack the artist. No one is gonna overtake the artist. AI and you can collaborate. This is something that no one thought. I think 15 years back, the people who actually evolved with the computer are now the CEOs of the top main countries because they evolved with it. They use that tool, a computer, to enhance what they were already doing, to make things better. So why can't we do the same thing with the AI? 3 months back, I had a health surgery, which put a person who works 17 hours a day as a fashion photographer or a filmmaker to bed rest. I was on bed rest for 3 months. I couldn't move. I couldn't even pick up my camera. I couldn't go out and shoot the way I used to. I couldn't create things. And my time was on a halt. Because I used to work 17 hours a day, shooting 3 campaigns a day, making 3 films at a time. That's how active I was in my own journey. I need to create, create, create. So when on my bed rest, I got really depressed. Any workaholic here can realize that being vacant in terms of your work makes you feel depressed. Does anyone of you feel depressed when they're not working? You're sitting at your home and you're doing nothing, and then you actually feel depressed, and I was doing that. But also, जिंदगी बहुत छोटी है, बहुत छोटी है. हमारी जो फिल्म है, बहुत छोटी है. It's a very small film. Do you have any moment to lose? Do you have any time spared to lose? Can you lose anything? So I started researching. I started going through different platforms. What is what is AI? Why are the people working with AI? क्या चीज़ है? AI है क्या? Why are people so afraid of it? That was the main aspect. But then I started realizing that even if AI is a tool, why can't I collaborate with it? Because my initial first post that I made with AI was when I wanted to go and do a street photography shoot in the streets of Lahore. I couldn't because of my obvious health reasons. What I did was I started drawing the frames I kind of wanted. I drew the frames. I wasn't good at sketching, but I drew those frames. I made those compositions. I spent 9 years as a photographer, so I knew the light, I knew the framing, I knew all those details. I picked up Midjourney. That's the application you use to generate pictures. I picked up Midjourney and I wrote a 3,000-word essay in the prompt. That this is the kind of picture I want, this is the kind of picture that's in my head. And it came out to be. That picture came, I took it to Photoshop, I started manipulating it, started treating it as a picture that I took, and I put it up. Next post I did was I brought Spider-Man to Lahore. Spider-Man is in the streets of Lahore, and then there's another Spider-Man who is wearing a hijab. And then there's another Spider-Man who's washing clothes, and there's another Spider-Man who's in the here, who is being mixed with the locals. That got into headlines. When did Spider-Man come? What is happening? Where is Spider-Man? Where is Spider-Man now? Is Spider-Man on an international tour? Is he going to come to Rawalpindi? Is he going to come to Karachi? These are the kind of headlines that came into being. I laughed. I laughed. But then everyone would open the caption. They were like, hey, AI. Is this all AI? I was like, yes, this is all AI. But would this picture come into being if I didn't think about it in that way? What's the base level that we're working on? Again, human expression. Is AI just making things and just putting it up? AI does have the capacity. You can write one word. If you write the word weird on the AI tool, it's going to create like endless possibilities of pictures. But the actual game is to have a vision in your own head and make that with AI. I had my concepts. I started spending my time. The things that I can't physically do at the moment, why should I wait? Let's create those things with AI. So, slowly, I just started to realize that everything is just about perspectives. How are you going to make things? How are you going to collaborate with things? You shouldn't be scared of it. If you're scared of this tool, trust me, this tool is not going anywhere. This is just the start. This tool is just the start. AI is just the start. You have no idea what it is capable of. But even for you to operate AI, you need you. So who's the main power here? Who's the main character here? It's you. Yeah. Every one of you, the way you think, the way you want to make things, that's something that you will control. That's something that you will do. And that happened like all of these things just blew. And a big thing that happened was these pictures got recognized in India a lot. In India, in Turkey, across the borders, everyone, and these pictures went up until Netflix, and it started a trend. It started a new trend, and now after those 2 months of me working with the AI, I'm not gonna take credit for it, but now, Alhamdulillah, when you type AI and art, the verses is gone, and it's a big and that shows you that you as an artist can create everything with AI. Be it AI, be it any tool. Now let's put AI aside. Look around you. Look at the person sitting right next to you. You all are there together, right? There's a concept, I told you guys I collaborated with AI. That's the same way you guys need to collaborate with each other. As an artist, as an individual, as a businessman, anyway. You collaborate with each other, you give value to each other. Because you can't make these pictures aren't something that I can create alone. I can't go to anyone and ask them to dress in this specific way and stand this specific way to do that. But if I collaborate with this tool, I can create things which are impossible. So can you. If I am not very good with music, I can collaborate with a music artist. And that way we collaborate, we give value to each other, we create something unimaginable. So be your main character and keep creating. Thank you.